everybody. Dirty Thursday brought to you by River City Speedway. Oh, yeah. It's going to be an awesome show. Co-host Heather McDonald is in the studio today. Also, Nick Shirek. How about that? Yeah. Show brought to you by Northwest Tire. Speaking of Northwest Tire, Chad's not here today. That's why Heather is here. But show brought to you by Northwest Tires. I tell you what, for tires, work on your vehicle, and more, check them out. Northwest Tire, they're on Gateway Drive. North Dakota's largest tire dealer, family-owned for over 40 years. Tell you what, from big to small, man, they do it all at Northwest Tire. Find all the big-name brands, too. Toyo, Nokian, Bridgestone, Firestone, and more. If you need to schedule your next appointment, call them up, 701-780-8473. Northwest Tire on Gateway Drive in Grand Forks, helping you get the perfect tires for whatever you drive. Any questions or comments, feel free to call or text our number here at the studio, 701-213-0863, 701-213-0863. Now let's do it. Here we go. Time for our daily segment called Jokes My Neighbor Tells Me. Jokes My Neighbor Tells Me. I tried this one out on Paul, the producer, yesterday. We'll see what happens here. You know, when Thor throws his hammer, he's serving justice, right? When Thor throws his hammer, he's serving justice. When I throw a hammer, well, I have anger management problems. Yeah. Okay. Let me see here, get everything figured out. First up, Nick Shirek, man, how are you?
Good, and I want to thank you for having me on the show today. I'm very excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You know, I don't know if you've figured out how we got you on the show, but all of a sudden, I think it was Monday, and I just put a Facebook post out there saying I need a Wingless Sprint guy to be on Dirty Thursday, and most of the people, the majority of the people said your name.
Yeah, that's cool. They must be looking for content, I say. So.
That's got to be it.
Cheap entertainment.
Yeah. And, you know, we had talked. I ran into you in the hardware store once in a while, and we had talked, and I knew I wanted to get you back on because you aren't new to the game of dirt track racing, and we will get into that. I'm going to slide it over to you. How are you doing today, by the way?
Hey, I'm fantastic.
Thank you for making the long journey.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, did you have to come shopping or anything anyway?
Yeah, we need a couple things, but I forgot the beloved Sam's Club
Oh,
card.
Forgot the card.
Yeah.
Oh. Talk to me later. Maybe I can hook you up. We'll see. Go through track schedules here. First off, River City Speedway tomorrow night. Got to be a big show tomorrow night. We've got 5 classes tomorrow. NOSA Sprints, Wissota Late Models, the Midwest Mods, the Street Stocks, and these non-wing sprints. They're actually the Midwest Power Series sprints. Haven't heard a lot about them. I tried to look them up. I couldn't find out a whole lot of info either. Now, I think they're 360s that are going to run with the 410s. I don't know. I'm really not sure. Then Saturday night, Devil's Lake non-wing nationals. You guys are going to have a busy weekend. What else you got? You got the, let's see, Pure Stocks, Wissota Street Stocks, Midwest Mods, Late Models, Trophy Class. Late Models there tomorrow too? Or
No.
Saturday?
No. That's why we had to do the late model track points championship last weekend.
Okay, because they're all up in Greenbush this weekend.
Yep. So when we did our schedule, we made sure to not step on
Sure.
NLRA's toes, because they're, virtually if you're running a late model, you're running with NLRA up here. So, when we did the schedule, we worked it out with Brad, and okay, this is what we're gonna do. And
Now, most of the racetracks around here get along that way, don't they? They try to work with each other the best they can?
Yes.
Okay. Non-wing nationals, Pure Stocks, Wissota Street Stocks, Midwest Mods, and the Trophy Class. Devil's Lake Saturday.
Yep, and it's gonna be Hall of Fame night.
Okay.
So Rob Hatch is actually the recipient of the Hall of Fame.
All right, there you go, Rob.
So, and then it'll be track championship, and then Sunday will be points championship for the track.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because then I looked at Saturday's Greenbush schedule and it shows late models there, and I'm like, no, wait a minute here, what's going on? Labor Day weekend, by the way, too. That's the Labor Day weekend doubleheader at Greenbush. They're going to be running Saturday and Sunday.
We're running Sunday too.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. Labor Day we always run a 2-day.
Okay. Well, I might have to make a trip down there then. I didn't know that. So the doubleheader in Greenbush, Saturday and Sunday, NLRA late models, Mods, Streets, Midwest Mods, Pure Stocks, 4-cylinder, Lightning Sprints, Mod 4s, and Saturday, Buffalo River, they're doing an enduro race up there. It's another thing I kind of miss doing with the enduro races. But tell you what, the weather is going to be brutally hot. They're talking about 100 degrees on Sunday. And it's funny, Nick says, yeah, I'm going to be in my trailer. I got these huge, 2 ginormous fans, and you just strip down and kind of spread eagle and let it do its job, right?
We got it. We got to let it do its job. Yeah, the crew,
Like-
if they were here, they would be giving me a hard time because I'm a diva when it comes to being hot, and I will be sitting my ass in front of those fans.
Yeah, yeah.
You're gonna have to get a cooler just with ice and put your race suit in it,
Oh.
like the NASCAR guys
Sure.
do. Like, I don't think that's necessarily probably a bad idea.
No, and you know, I bet you it retains some of that coolness too
Yep.
for a while because of the layers and all of that stuff. But no, that's a great idea. But you know, here's the thing. I've always said, and I sweat just breathing. I sweat thinking about sweating.
Yeah,
I'd
same.
still rather be too warm than too cold. I don't
No.
care. I would.
No.
I'd rather be too warm than too cold.
No.
No? How about you?
I don't know. I'm a fall guy, so like as it starts
Oh,
to
sure.
get cool outside. The other morning it was 52 degrees. I started my pickup. It's outside, and I walked inside the house and I told my wife, I go, it's beautiful
Yeah,
outside.
yeah.
52 degrees. It felt amazing.
Yeah, and see, back in the day, I was a snowmobile racer and I played hockey and did all that kind of stuff. Well, I don't do any of that anymore. I'm looking for somewhere to go where it's nice and warm. That's what I'd like to do in the winter. All right, I wanted to ask you first off, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
Not anything to do with racing.
Nothing to do with racing. So proud father. I got 3 kids, 3 boys.
Awesome.
Married to my bride of it'll be 9 years here this October. My oldest boy Hudson, he's our pride and joy. Born with Down syndrome. He's going to be 8 years old in November already. It's
Jeez.
crazy. And my little Spitfire Cam, he's at the races quite a bit. Heather, he was in the bar when we were waiting for our checks, drinking a Shirley Temple
Yeah,
2 weeks
yeah.
ago. It was awesome. He's 4. He'll be 5 in November, and then Bo is our baby. He's 2. He'll be 3 in February. My wife owns Hudson Wellness, which is just across the street over here, a wellness center named after our oldest boy, Hudson. And
Sure.
does well for herself. And I've worked at Rydell's for 13 years. I started when I was 20. I'm 33. I'll be 34 in October.
Wow.
Just a young pup, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's where we're
And,
at.
and do you notice the first kid was born not long after the they got busy.
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do. Oh, and I was going to ask you too. I just had to take a walk down to the manager's office down there, and I see a sprint car chassis in the back of a pickup. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that. Did you see it too?
I was wondering that. I was like, whose is that?
It's funny. Yeah, that's my pickup you saw. And
No.
that's, so that's an interesting deal. So Austin Pierce, one of my best friends, Austin's a great guy. And
Awesome guy.
He was really cool about helping me get things rolling. I remember I called Austin, I think it was first part of January or end of November, just 8 months ago or whatever, and kind of told him what I was doing, what I was thinking about getting a car and running with these Wingless boys. And Austin literally said on the phone, he's like, whatever I can do to help out. You were so great to me when we started years ago, and we'll see what we can do. And lo and behold, we're through this first year just about, and I just purchased that car from Austin.
Yeah, and we've had him on the show before, and he kind of says the same story about how he got his start and about who the people were that helped him and how he kind of hid this from his folks for a while while you guys were building this car. And then, it's funny because all this time later, this all comes around.
Yeah, it's interesting. I love that you said he was hiding that car. He hid that car at our shop for a while.
know.
I think the story was he rented that car from Jeff Van Ossick or something and paid him a certain amount per race. And he went and raced in Jackson. And he called me on his way home. He said, dude, I crashed this car. He's like, I need you to look this thing over and help me fix it.
I need to pour more concrete.
Yeah, right. So I helped him with that and obviously helped him with parts off the shelf, if
Sure.
you will. And so, yeah, it comes full circle. And I'm a firm believer in, be a good person all the time. And if you do good things and take good care of people, that, it'll come around.
Yep.
And it's really cool to see that coming from
Yes.
Austin to myself as well.
There we go.
Which has been great.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was in the hardware store this morning, and your name came up, and he goes, "Yeah, I was wondered because I started seeing him in here more and more all the time, buying little bolts and parts and these little things." And finally asked him, that was Swangler over there.
Oh,
So and that's when he kind of figured it out. But you were a 410 sprint car driver,
Yeah, we did that deal.
and why'd you quit?
So it was interesting. So I will say, it's tough to even use the word quit. It's such a scary word to say, right? It's
Okay,
just
you stepped away.
There you go. Yeah,
Yep.
that feels a little bit better. But we did that for a couple reasons. I took work really serious. I've been with Rydell's, like I said, for 13 years now. But at that time, there was a few opportunities that came up, and racing is challenging.
Oh yeah.
You're a sales manager at a store. You got to be there because you got to be there for your people and for the guests and et cetera, et cetera. And it was really challenging. I would go to the races at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and my mind is still on work.
And you're getting to the racetrack. If you're getting there at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, that's almost kind of late unless you got a really good crew.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to really be focused. And one of my strengths is probably a weakness too. I got a great crew of guys that help me now too, but you could say I'm one of the guys in the Renegade series. His name's Corey Palm. He goes, "You are the most meticulous guy I've ever seen with a race car." So I take that as kind of like, oh man, am I a micromanager? Like, what's the deal there? Or is it kind of a feather in my hat because that's how serious I take this? I want to make sure everything's done.
Yep.
So you get to the track at 5:30, 6 o'clock. Someone might say, your car's ready to go. It's all good to go. I'm still looking that thing over all the way.
Right, yeah.
So it's tough.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is, now, you know this from your days in the 410s, who is very meticulous about going over their car and who isn't.
Oh,
all you got to do is look at the results week in and week out. Those guys that people might say, well, he's always doing something, always checking something out, and now he's not happy with this or that. Those are the guys that are always up in the top, too.
Yeah, it sure seems like
You know, the guys that just load up their car, spray it down, wash it down, and change the oil on it and expect to go out and win the next week. It doesn't work that way.
No, absolutely. There's so much work that has to get done. You know, at my place now, it's in the garage, which is great. Most people have a shop and a fancy thing, and I want to be in my garage. I got a 3-stall at home. I can put my kids to bed, you know, and 8:30, 9 o'clock, I can go tinker for a while.
And the kids can even help you if they're interested in doing stuff like that.
Yeah, they just like sitting in the car or like, you know, getting into the grease buckets. So that's always fun.
Yeah, and you know,
So you haven't had them bleeding brakes yet?
No, the kid, not yet. No. Adam Soblik actually came over to help me bleed my brakes.
Oh, is that right?
I couldn't even get my brother over to help me bleed brakes.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Because that's my job. It's like hop in the car, and you know, and you gotta pump it, and then you gotta hold
till
it.
you get a leg cramp.
Yeah. You get really
absolutely.
strong calves that way. It's a great calf workout.
It's like how I feel after hauling beats for a season. Now, I hated to use the word quit too, because I've seen it. I've been around racing long enough now to know when somebody steps away. I hate it.
Yeah.
Especially in the sprint car world. I think this Wingless Sprint division that has now popped up the last few years, I think it's a savior for a lot of guys. I love it. You know, because I've always said, I'll stop what I'm doing and watch 3 kids race a tricycle around a circle. I don't care if it's somebody racing and trying to get there before the rest of them. I'm going to stop and watch. But I think this sprint car, the Wingless Sprint car, it's a great way. It's a lot more economical.
Yeah.
But then again, you can say that, and once it's said and done, you probably don't think it is. But I know the motors they last a lot longer and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't mean to use the word quit. But 13-year break. Wow. What? Just how come all of a sudden you decided to get back?
Yeah, no, it's all good. And yeah, the quit word, no worries, John. We're cool on all
Okay.
that. Yeah, no worries. It's interesting, you know, it's hard. So I stepped away, you know, and then helped out my brother a lot too, because he still raced 3-4 years after I was done even. And then for my mom and dad, they owned all the stuff, you know, and obviously that's a financial burden off them a little bit, right? So that part of it was really good too, but it was challenging that even after Chris was done racing, we were like, okay. We called a gentleman out of South Dakota that came and bought everything, you know, cleaned everything out. We still have one 410 actually sitting in my parents' shop.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Fun fact, we still
Just
have one
in case,
motor.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah. So, but we did all that on purpose, and I canceled like Dirt Vision. I canceled Flow Sports.
I was going to ask you. Yeah.
I quit coming to the track. You know, I wasn't watching, even when the Outlaws came to
Mm-hmm.
Forks, it was like, nope, I'm doing other things. You just try to do everything you can to stay away, but you can't.
No.
And then it was like made the mistake of, you know, you go to a couple races, then you smell like, as a spectator, you go to the racetrack, it's the best feeling. It's the best, like, sensory feeling. You walk in underneath the nostalgic grandstands in Grand Forks, and you get a mixture of, like, spilt beer, sunflower seeds, a little cigarette smoke, it seems
mud.
like. And then, and then the smell of mud and, like,
Pigeon poop.
burning methanol all together. And it it was like, oh, my gosh.
I know,
I've
it's
been
like
missing
heaven.
this. Yeah. So did that deal, you know, and then just kind of got rehooked again. And thank God for my wife to be as supportive as she's been. There was a gentleman selling some stuff this winter about that end of December, January deal. And I started looking closer and closer at this car. And the rest is kind of history. So, yeah. I sold it to her saying that we were going to do this. I'll build a car over 2-3 years, and it was like 2 or 3 weeks, and the thing was done. You know,
So did your wife have any like reservations?
She's amazing. She's always been super supportive and super great. And the thing is, our kids, you know, like my life is my wife and kids are number one, and they're absolutely that way for her too. And there's been, you know, we kind of have a rule. It's like let's do everything with the kids because we only get a few hours with them at night. And then you know what? They go to bed like 8:30. It's like I can work on the race car from 8:30 till midnight if
Sure,
I want to.
sure.
And that's kind of our rule we have at home. It's like when we're there, we're with the kids.
Yep.
We're doing our deal there with them. Then when they go to bed, then we can be on race car stuff all we want. And that's just kind of the thing. And as long as I follow those rules with my wife, she's very good.
Yeah,
at following it.
and you know, Heather will probably, much to her chagrin, I had that same conversation with Chad Hoff a couple of years ago, and that's the reason, pretty much the main reason why he stepped back from Devil's Lake, because got one kid. They only got one chance to watch him grow up and hang out with him and do these things, and he decided to step back for a while and do just that. And I mean, you've got girls. You're busy too. Yeah. And school start today, yesterday?
No, we actually started school last week.
Oh, you did? Okay. Okay. So school starts, and the way skating goes now, are they already skating?
Nope. We just got skating registration sent to us here a few days ago. I think the ice will go on here in October because they got the rodeo during the sites.
Oh, sure,
So the
sure.
ice will go on sometime after then. But, you know, we only have 2 rinks. And one's the barn or the Bill Jerome. So, you know, it's got to get a lot colder for
Right.
the ice to go on in there. But I anticipate probably like the first week in October they'll start putting ice on.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Okay. By the way, I like the advertising on the shirt.
Thank you.
That was smart of you.
Well, you know, it was actually it was more or less, it was on top of the clean clothes pile.
Okay. That's kind of how I wear this one too, although I do wear this shirt a lot on
I
Thursdays.
got a bouldering boy shirt. I think it's still in the pickup.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. You got one with us in the back.
Yeah, the black
This
one.
is the prototype. This was the very first one.
Ooh.
Where it came on the front. But there you go.
Awesome.
Kind of looks like me. I guess. I wanted to ask you, we talked about how you got out of the 410 sprint, so you stepped away for a while. Boy, that wreck in 2006, was that the worst one you've experienced?
Yeah, it definitely was. It's funny. People say like, oh, do you have any highlights from when you were racing sprints? It was like, no, I just have lowlights, you know? And it seemed like a lot of people were like, man, you really crashed a lot on the big scene. And it's like, yeah, you know, like unfortunately that did happen. And there was a nasty one. That one actually didn't hurt as bad as when Craig Delansky and I got together in hot laps, believe it or not, when the Outlaws were in town.
Yeah.
Oh.
That hurt really bad. I couldn't kneel down for like 2 weeks. It hurt so bad. But the one in Fargo was pretty gnarly. My buddy Grant Boyum, Grant worked on our race cars for a long time, and Grant actually now works for Stenhouse Jr.'s Cup car.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he's out
Yep.
in Carolina. And Grant actually texted me. He goes, hey, if you go on Dirt Vision, that crash of yours is on there. If you click on this link, whatever, right? So it's like, okay, I'll go check it out, you know. And so I checked it out, and then a few of my buddies at work were like, dude, you got to post that on the Double Down site.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it's like, all right, whatever. So I posted that on there, but that was a gnarly one. I ended up in the ambulance ride,
Sure,
you know, to
sure.
the ER deal, the whole 9 yards. And yeah, that was a pretty gnarly one. But
You know, when we talk about gnarly crashes, Dobmeyer got in a pretty good one again
Yeah, he sure did.
last Friday night. And actually, where he crashed, I remember years back when him and Mitch Mack got together, and that crash was, I thought, a lot worse. But, you know, it didn't look good, you know, and then I get the call that they're bringing him to the ER, and, you know, then I get another call, just a bruised lung and maybe a little concussion. Well, then he goes down to Husitz and takes third on Sunday.
yeah, he was flying too. I watched him,
Yeah.
you know. It's like, Jesus, man.
Another lap, he maybe had a chance.
Yeah.
And then him and we took his 2 boys out fishing yesterday, catfishing, and we're smoking cigars and drinking beer. Oh, we got a little bit of a backlash on Facebook. How could he smoke a cigar with a bruised lung? Well,
Oh, no way. Yeah, it's like, come on.
Come on. He's a big boy now, but boy,
Last time I checked, Mark is an adult and he can make his own decisions in life.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I don't think they meant it in a bad way, but he's you talk about black and blue and sore though.
Yeah.
Where his knees, I'm guessing his knees come together, pretty black and blue, and then for the Hans device.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is very black and blue. And then on Monday, he had to go back down to the cities to the burn doctor.
Oh, man.
For his annual deal, you know. It never fails. And they had no idea that this is what he does, you know, and he showed him the wreck. Well, Herod, this is what happened to me on Friday. And they're like, oh my gosh. And he goes, yeah, in fact, I was in the same hospital 2 years ago and I broke my back in a wreck.
Yeah, jeepers, man.
Like, you know, pretty soon the physical therapists are going to know him, you know,
It's
on
going
a
to be on a
first
first
name
name
basis.
basis, yeah.
That's how it used to kind of be with me. The Double Down Motorsports how did you come up with Double Down?
Yeah, that's an interesting question too. A lot of people give me a hard time because Jason Sides on the Outlaws, he's Double Down Jason Sides. And believe it or not, there's no correlation there whatsoever. So if Jason's listening, I didn't steal that from you, pal. But
Okay.
emulation is the finest form of flattery, so
Sure it is.
that could be a good thing too. But I like playing a little blackjack, and obviously when you double down playing in blackjack, you're putting double your money out there.
Sure.
You're going to go after it. You're kind of all in, and
Double down and split.
yes, double downs and
when you have
splits
to
are even more
split,
fun.
and then it's
Oh, yeah.
2-11. So then you're like, well, I gotta double. I
Yeah.
gotta double this twice now.
Yeah.
Yeah, having $16, $17, $1,800 down on a blackjack table in Vegas is a little nerve wracking.
Oh, my
Yeah,
gosh.
you guys play way more than I
No,
would.
she plays way more than I do. Yes.
It wasn't me. I was just sitting there.
Oh,
my
okay.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just kind of the deal, though. So it's double, meaning like the second time we're doing this, and then we're kind of all in, And
Did you ever deal blackjack?
I never did. My brother dealt blackjack for a
Okay.
while when he lived in Mayville. Yeah.
okay, I
I
thought-
just like to play blackjack.
Sure. Do you still play quite a bit?
Only when I can.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny. My wife and I, if we get a random date night, we'll go out to eat, whatever. And then always on the way home, I look over at her. She looks at me. We're like, "We gonna stop for a half hour? Or what are you thinking?" And we both think the same thing. We love it. We don't go crazy, right?
Okay,
We play
so
a
she
little
doesn't
bit.
just go watch you.
So you
she,
can
Oh, no.
walk. So you can walk away.
I can walk. Well, yeah, yeah, we can walk. away.
Well,
She's actually really good though. There's a lot of times you said that while you were watching, it's like I enjoy standing there watching her play. We play
Yeah.
the exact same way. You
Yeah.
know? So it's not. It doesn't matter if they're dealing the cards to her or to me. Like
Yeah.
whatever move she's doing or however she plays
Yeah,
is the same way
that's
I do.
kind of how it is at our house. Well, except sometimes I'll jump in, and then sometimes Nolan needs me to jump in, just to.
Oh, gives you the wink, like, hey, change this
No,
up a little bit.
it's more or less the cards need to change. You need to
Yeah.
jump on.
sure, just something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the cards are not coming out right. You need to jump in.
Yeah, it's fun though. I
Yeah.
mean, playing a little blackjack there. I think next door Rumors. I basically grew up playing blackjack at Rumors. My father-in-law lived across the street. We came here all the time.
Oh, sure. BT and Jake and those guys
Yeah.
over there. What a
Oh,
great,
yeah.
great
Nolan
group.
actually, when he was going to school in Fargo, that's how he paid his rent.
Really?
Yep, he didn't have a job. He played blackjack.
No kidding.
Yep.
That's what I should
His
tell people.
roommates
That's how I
hated
take
him.
care. That's how I pay for racing. I should say I play blackjack. That's why it's Double Down Motorsports.
Oh, okay. So what you guys are saying then is just go play blackjack and you
Yeah.
won't have to worry about anything anymore.
I do not recommend that as a financial
Yeah.
plan.
No, stay away. It's
Yeah.
strictly for fun.
Yeah.
If we have, a
Yep.
couple 20s burning a hole in our pocket.
And
We
you
don't
know,
go nuts.
with
Yeah.
with the horse racing and stuff and the dog races over here, we see who is in and out every day. And my sister-in-law is actually an accountant, and some of her clients that's what their job is professional gambler, and that's what they do. But it's not like you just go pick random numbers and random horses and stuff. They have to do their due
have to.
diligence too, and
Yeah.
they gotta do their research and figure all this stuff out. And
Figuring out the odds, I can never.
I don't
Yeah.
under over whatever.
Yeah,
I'm back in the day when I lived on the West Coast. I used to bet on football games. Basically, the only gambling I do, I'll put $1 in each machine, pull tab machine at the drum, $1 each. I mean, I know I'm a big spender, but yeah, even when I went to Vegas, I had more fun going down to Fremont and watching the freak show.
Fremont's a blast.
Yeah, I'd rather go to when we went down for the UND game last year. That's
Yeah.
all we did. Like we
Yeah.
just kept hopping on the bus and going
Yeah.
downtown. And then there's a story about the bus going downtown. And then after that, my nephew came with us. I bought him a UND ticket
Okay.
as a present because I'd missed so many birthdays because he was overseas with the military.
Oh,
So I was like, well, I'll tell you what, I'll buy you a ticket to the UND game. All our rooms were comped. I was like, you just got to pay for your flight and your food and drink, whatever.
Absolutely.
You know? And we get off that bus and we're waiting for the bus. And my nephew goes, do we have to ride the bus again? And I'm like, no, we'll Uber back to the strip. But there's a story and it's kind of a comical story,
don't
but it's not,
tease
it's
us.
not, it is not a PG-13 story.
when has this show been PG-13?
This is like rated X.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, one of them bus stories.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Maybe off record?
Yeah.
Off
Yeah.
the camera? Maybe
Yeah.
we'll talk about
Yeah.
it? All right. Tell you what, we're going to take just a little bit of break here. I want to talk about Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Life is always so hectic. You know, when you go get an oil change, a lot of times it's going to take you a couple hours. I love going to Valvoline Instant Oil Change. I'm usually in and out of there 15, 20 minutes, usually for sure less than a half hour. When I get my oil change, they top off the fluids. They check my tires, battery, my lights, my wipers, my cabin air filter. And they do more than just oil changes. You can get tranny and coolant flushes, battery work, tire work, all that kind of stuff. You'll get a discount if you're a fleet owner. You get a discount if you're in the military. They can text and email invoices and coupons. And here's the best part. Mention Grand Forks Best Source. They'll knock $10 off your oil change. Open Monday through Saturday. No appointment needed. Just swing by. 3325 South 38th Street. You can call them 701-780-8462. Make sure you tell them Grand Forks Best Source sent you. And knock that $10 off your oil change. Along with our guest host, Heather McDonald, we're talking with Nick Shirek, the driver of the number 5 Western Renegade non-wing sprint car. Now, when we talk about these wrecks, Nick, you were in a couple doozies in your 410 with the wing on it. You haven't got to figure that part out yet in the wingless yet, which, I mean, knock on wood.
I really hope that does not happen.
I do too. The wing, you know, everybody knows the wing is to keep the car on the ground, but they also help a lot with dissipating inertia and impact and all that stuff on a wreck. Does that ever cross your mind?
Yeah, it for sure does. So that's part of why you see that the car of Austin's that's sitting in the back of my pickup right now. It's going over to Dustin Strands this afternoon. He's going to install a halo and stuff up top for safety. But interesting thing about that wing is it really acts as almost a pillow too. And, and I hate to bring up Mark's crash last week, but that's a prime example. If anybody's watching videos, the way he came off the corner in 3 and 4 and he landed on his lid like that, you know, you talked about inertia or absorbing some of that contact, if you will.
Energy,
Yeah, absolutely. That wing definitely does that. And I mentioned my mom and dad a lot, and that's their biggest fear, you know. And my dad has said that a lot. He goes, you know, that wing was really a pillow more than anything. Yeah. So there's that fear there for sure. Luckily, we raced with a lot of respectful guys in the and gals, excuse me, in the Renegade series, and it's been a lot of fun. But everybody races pretty respectfully too.
Yeah, I am gonna say my one complaint about the Renegades. And Heather knows, because for one thing, I'm not very computer smart. So if I don't have timing on my computer, I mean, I'm used to doing racing old school. Yeah. You know, you get your lineup sheet and you just back and forth. But the numbers on those little tail cones or whatever you call them on your sprint cars, I'm used to looking at a big number on the wing. And it's a lot easier. But when you guys are whipping by, it's hard. And I don't know the cars like you do because I'm lucky to see you guys maybe 3-4 times now at the most.
Well, I'll struggle this weekend.
Yeah.
I will because we got all the guys from the northern guys, and I don't know their cars.
Yeah. So, and you try to see that number as you're whipping by.
Or if they change, like, paint schemes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that one will throw me for a loop, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I get it. I wish there was a way to like make the numbers bigger.
I know. Yeah.
You know, maybe it's on the hood or something. So at least when they come out of 4, we can see who it is.
Yeah. It gets hard, you know. And then, of course, all the announcers that are in the stands, you know, they're going to let you know. Right. Don't you know that's Nick Shirek? Jesus. Well, okay, I know. Right. Paint scheme, very sharp looking car.
Thank you. I took that. I stole that again.
Okay.
Max Dumsney is an Australian guy who races, and he had a really cool looking. His number 1. He races in Australia, but that design or whatever, really cool looking Valvoline car. Yeah. I thought it was really good. I'm a simple guy. I like simple. I like clean. And it was a piece of cake to kind of put together. But thank you. Yeah, really proud of the way that car turned out.
Now, 2004 Rookie of the Year, back in the old NOSA days.
Wow, I'm surprised you even found that. That's crazy to think. That's a long time ago. 19 years.
I had to do some digging. I had to do some digging to find that out. But what are the differences between the 410 with the wing compared to the wingless sprints? Do you have to change your driving style dramatically, or how does all that work?
Yeah, definitely. I see Heather shaking her head yes to it. Yeah, it's way, way different. Obviously, Nolan played around a little bit in 1-2, and my brother, he wants to help out, you know, and all this stuff. So I keep telling Chris, you know, we got to remember there's no wing on the car. The easiest way I explain it to the wing guys is, you think of a top wing on a sprint car is 25 square feet, right? It's 5x5.
Yep.
And then you have a front
downforce.
Yeah.
There's no downforce in a wingless.
You got a front wing too on a big sprint, and that's 2x3, let's say. So let's just say for easy math, there's 30 square feet of downforce on a winged car, and on a wingless car, it's not there.
Right.
So managing wheel spin and trying to lock that car down a lot more than we're used to, it is different.
Yeah.
So trying to like unlearn some of those things that for many years
Yeah.
we did and
Yeah.
then relearn some new things
Well,
is challenging.
Well, like, Amanda Enright said this, like, Adam Soblik's first night in a wing car. He's trying to put her in sideways,
Yeah.
like you do in a wingless car,
Yeah.
like you do in a modified or a late model. You can't do that in
No.
a wing sprint. You have to drive it more or less straight, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, we got some habits we got to break, whereas you probably have 410 habits that you have to break.
Yeah.
Whereas, I hear a lot of flack about Soblik, and he's cheating. I'm like, there's no way that kid's
No,
cheating.
he's good.
He is textbook a wingless driver.
Yeah,
he is throwing it into the corners, and he is legitly like sideways
Yeah.
coming through like 1 and 2, 3 and 4, like textbook how they do it in USAC, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody else is kind of more on that like straight, just kind of petering. Like they're not all the way sideways like a non-wing,
The thing with Adam too, Adam Soblik is a sweetheart of a kid, right?
He is. They're the nicest family.
Total sweetheart. Paul works. He's a technician. He's a Honda master technician at Rydell Honda Nissan, and they were really, really helpful on helping me get my car finished. Like I said, Adam helped me bleed the brakes. Paul came over and hooked up all the electrical stuff. We fired up the car together, but. Great group of people. Adam wants to help. He does incredible homework too.
I was
Talk
just
about
going to
watching
say
game
that.
film and understanding how he drives the car in the corner, you name it.
And everything he's raced.
Oh,
That's what he's done.
I mean, the kid started from dirt bikes to it, but he does so much homework. It's not even funny.
Yep.
And he's the first person, if you ask him for some help or advice, he'll just say, well, this is exactly what we're doing. Don't know if it'll work for you. This is the deal. You mentioned throwing the car in the corner a lot differently. Adam mentioned that to me. I was so used to the wing stuff where you throw a wing car in the corner too, don't get me wrong, but the way you enter is a lot different. And I was so tight entering right away. And Adam was telling me, he's like, well, as you're kind of coming down the straightaway, you almost got to kind of start throwing the car in the corner then.
Yeah, you
and
got to
then
be
try
like,
make 'em-
you got to be loose.
Yeah.
Loose.
Yeah.
And then try to make the straightaways as long as possible
Right.
versus making the corner sweeping like we used to. So
yeah, and that's
come a long way.
And that's kind of, why Nolan wrecked that car. 30 years of racing and he never rolled. Well, let's get a wingless sprint and
We'll fix that.
Yeah, so our first car came from Danny Wisco.
Okay. Yep.
Good dude too. Dan's a sweetheart.
We love the Wiscos. We have Nolan's known them forever. They're from the same area, We drove all the way to Roseau. Danny had to take a day off of work to meet us in Roseau, pick up this car, right? And then Nolan's like, hey, I'm going to Stan Tomlinson's selling his car. He's like, I'm going to go buy it. And I just had like a gut feeling. I was like, something's, and he's like, I'm going to go race it in Underwood. And I was like, I think you should just go pick up the car and come home. Or if you want to go watch. I just had a gut feeling. I was like, don't race that car. Well, Stan and Nolan are completely different driving styles. Stan's kind of like on the bottom, whereas Nolan is like crush the top, wide open, as hard as he can push that car. Well, Stan's car was way too tight for Nolan's style of driving.
That's bad news.
So what happens? Like they get like three laps in, hooks.
Yeah.
And there he goes.
There he goes. Launch.
Yeah. Like, like there's
3 laps, huh?
It was like 3-4 laps.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
In the heat. And there's like trees in the background by I think it's Highway 83.
Okay.
That takes you, that's like right by the racetrack in Underwood. Like and it's a really shitty video. You could see him like rainbow the trees.
Yeah.
And I'm going, he's dead.
Oh,
He's got to be dead because, when he's old school, he's like, I don't need no Hans device. I don't need any of this shit, And, well,
He's still alive.
he is still alive by the grace of God. And I wasn't going. Like, I was like, oh, I'm not going. Like,
was that the last time you raced?
yeah, that
oh my
car.
gosh.
That car.
Yeah, and we put it back together. The car wasn't that bad, and then I went to Parker, and I think they eventually took all the parts off of it and went in a different route, which was fine. But yeah, that was the one time I wasn't going. Was not going. Like him and Eugene took off that morning, and pretty soon it's like 2:00 in the afternoon. I was downstairs. Yeah, I'm working downstairs at home, and the girls come down. Can we go to the races, please? I'm like, all right. So we loaded up the car, drove all the way over to Underwood. And
Wow.
3,
How long
4
of a drive is that?
I think 2.5, 3
Okay.
hours. Yeah.
I never had the phone with me. I just got it now. Thank you, Paul, the producer. But Murray Stewart, Paul Erickson, a lot of people watching. Nick Curtis, good morning, all. Brendan Grover, Nick is better Shirek. Right, Chris Shirek?
He always gives Chris a hard time.
Eric put wings on it. That's actually, I've got that in my notes. Chris versus Nick. Who's better? Let's see. Murray Stewart, I love it. Eric Rice, good to see you, Nick. Zach Umdahl watching. Dan Farter, Jack Croker, love Nick. Greatest dude ever. Corey Palm watching. Terry Blacklines. Hey, Terry. Nick Palm. Nick, a.k.a. Mr. Meticulous. Terry Matichek is watching. Congratulations, by the way, Terry. Steve Nordrum, Nick has become a good friend and is a blast to race with and talk to.
Steve's a great guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. Like I mentioned, too, these Renegades, if I can interrupt you for just a second, like gentlemen, lady, like total sweetheart of a group of people.
They are.
Here's what's interesting. So 2 weeks ago, we were in Devil's Lake on Saturday, and I got a text message from Miles, who runs the Western Renegade Series. His wife, Sam, sent me a text or a Facebook message, and it was something like, hey, a few of us are getting together. We're going to have like a barbecue in the pits. Please bring yourself and your team and join us. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. What can I bring? And no, just bring yourself, bring your team, come on over. And I don't know, I like to bring something, but it's like, oh, okay. So I kind of told a couple of my guys, and we like to eat, right? Like,
Sure. We're good eaters.
Of course, we're all in on that, but kind of felt shy or kind of weird, and so I think it was Corey Palm's wife came by. Hey, you guys gonna come over? And we're like, oh yeah, in a few minutes, and they're all eating. And then Sam came by, and she's like, Nick, now. I was like, all right, I will be right over there. What I'm getting at is they had this huge spread in Matt Knutson's trailer. Great guy too, by the way. And it was just legit. Brenton Weiss's wife made these like sugar cookies that literally tasted like my grandma's, and her daughter brought me over a little care package after.
Oh,
Just
nice.
a sweetheart. But I sent those guys a message. We have a Facebook group, and I was like, thanks so much for putting that barbecue on. That was really cool. Be sure to thank your spouses too. Again, that's just like that gentleman thing or that warm whatever of the group. It's more than just going on the track and respectfully racing each other, whatever. There's some good relationships being built too, and it's a good group of people.
I want to say that the Wingless Sprints, the Western Renegades, have really changed the culture of racing. And it changed it for the good, because
the culture hasn't been looking good lately.
Oh, before they started, man, I had gray hairs, and I'm like, what? It was not a good thing, and it's really been a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
and so when I'm like immersed in somebody else's bullshit, you just go and spend like a good 20 minutes, half an hour with them, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And I talked to another racer about how the culture, because everything you see on social media now, it seems like most of it's not good, which kind of blows me away.
You expect it in August.
Yeah.
But it was like this in April.
Yeah. And he said he blamed it on burnout. Guys are getting burned out. It's towards the end. And it's like, I know, but it's been kind of all year thing. And then I thought to myself, well, guys are burned out. Imagine being with full-time World of Outlaws or something. Oh my gosh. One of your workmates is watching, and he wants an autograph, Randy Sattler.
Oh yeah, Randy's my buddy.
Yeah, I worked with Randy actually a long time ago. We worked together out at, we were Concrete Inc. back in the day.
Randy's awesome. I needed some paint done on my first car, the race car, and he's like, bring me the stuff, I'll get it done. Randy's the man.
Yeah, he is.
It's kind of crazy, I've been in the car business, Nick's in the car business. It's so crazy, how much it all kind of comes full circle.
Oh, it intertwines big time.
Yeah, it does. You have the same JMA reps and so-and-so? Yeah, I know so-and-so, or we have the same customers. Or
do you, any of the paint reps?
And the paint reps, Randy would.
Okay.
Randy knows all the paint reps.
I bet he does, because I should ask him about that.
You just approved the check, right?
Yeah.
A good friend of mine that I grew up with, we used to jam together. He's a guitar player, and I think he was a rep for PPG, I want to say, but I might be wrong. But Randy Sattler, if you're watching, his name is Rick Langley anyway. Ryan Rested's watching. I got a bunch of these to go through. Frankie Rodriguez. Randy Sattler says, need some swag as well. Eric Rice says, let's see the wreck. I was there. I don't know, Paul, did we get the wreck on or not? Okay,
it's on
we don't have it.
It's on my Double Down
Yeah,
Facebook
that's
page.
where I found it. I found it on actually your Facebook page.
Yeah, if you guys got it, you could throw it up there quick if you want. Go ahead.
I don't know if he did, but we have Corey Palm says we have some of the best safety equipment too. Chris Borgen, Katie Staus, Dan Bromstead all watching. Winger Wingless, what's your thoughts? Elizabeth Donahoe, that's why he's AJ Sideways.
That is why he's AJ sideways.
Yeah, Marie Stewart, I'm a forever lover of the winged. Brady Fincher, Brian Stouse, Darla Jensen, Jenny Barnes, Kaylee Elizabeth, all watching. Lisa, Sangreat Sobolik, Nick's win is coming soon. He's such a great guy. Can't wait to see it.
I thought Nick was going to win his first night, and then he clipped the wall.
Yeah, I did. You were like, I thought you were going to pull a Nolan there.
I did. I was
Piled
like,
into the wall.
oh, he came out of 4, and I was like, oh, this is not going to be good. And then I was like, did he just tag the wall? And then I'm like, did I see what I seen? And then he comes in to get his check at the end of the night, and he goes, I hit the wall. And I'm like, yeah, you came in a little too hot.
Oh, piled into the wall. Yeah, that was like opening night, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Lisa also says, talking about you, he's been helping Adam with the wing car, and it's so nice to have someone other than us giving pep talks. Very thankful. Dusty Lawson, we can all thank the Godfather Miles for his leadership. Randy Sadler, he's still around. Exalter, DuPont. Okay. Hey, Randy's still watching. Jordan Adams watching, too. Thank you, Randy, for getting back to me right away. He's a dude. And everybody for watching. I think he's going to try to get this on here. Oh, yeah, I think we got lucky here. This is from 2006?
Yeah, that's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
No.
So this isn't Fargo?
This is in Fargo when they used to have the big half mile.
The big half mile, yep.
There it is. Boom.
Right there.
Oh!
Yeah, and the crazy thing about this was, too, is that, they couldn't
that
change
looks
camera
like it
directions
hurts.
quick enough. But
Yeah, and it's amazing that camera is still there.
Yeah, it was.
So you're
it
not
was
the only person to
wild.
junk a car in Fargo at
Oh,
the half
no.
mile.
Yeah, we used to. It's funny. Remember Scotty McDonald? Remember him?
Oh, yeah, yep.
He's really cool. He would say, I know my stuff is good enough. I can make it one lap around Fargo's track without my car falling apart.
I don't remember. Did you come close to wrecking here?
In Forks or
Yeah.
on the wingless deal?
You came close here. You came close to winning, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
we were pretty close. Last week, 2 weeks ago, in Devil's Lake, we were really close. We finished
Where?
second, and
Okay, I knew that. Thank you to you, by the way.
yeah, we kind of fell back. There was like 17 cars or something. I mean, there was
actually a lot of like position swaps in that race.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, as long as I've been doing it, I mean, like it all kind of blends together after a while.
Yeah.
Sure. I want you to answer the one question. Chris versus Nick. Who was better in the wing car?
Who's better in the wing car? Chris's stats are probably better than
His
mine in the
stats
wing
were
car.
better, yeah, but
if you ask my mom and dad, they'd say, "Oh, Nick was probably better because I probably just didn't burn as much money as Chris did." So I'll just say that's a subjective answer, but I
Sure,
suppose
sure.
the statistics would say Chris was because he's got wins in the win column.
Yeah.
So.
Did he ever get Rookie of the Year?
Chris? Oh, yeah.
Oh, he did. I figured. Okay. Okay.
Got to give him some love.
So what's the age difference between you and your brother?
We're 3 years. Yeah.
3
we don't.
years.
Yeah. Chris looks like a Shirek. We're all built pretty thicker guys
Sure.
with no hair, and I look like my uncle. It's my uncle and myself, Mike and myself, who have hair, who don't have the exact Shirek physique. So maybe we're adopted or
The
something.
good
I
with the
don't know.
bad, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So Chris can say he's got more wins, but I can say I have more hair.
Oh,
So.
sometimes that's more important.
And that's what Brendan Grover, we call him Chubbs. That's what he's referring to when he's saying the better Shirek of the two. So,
Okay.
yeah, he gives Chris a hard time.
And you could always say this. You know what, Chris? That was then. This is now.
Yeah,
look
right?
at buddy.
Right.
Look
Well,
at buddy.
either the hair's on the top of the head or it's on your body. I mean, take your pick.
Yeah, Chris is having fun though too. He went to Devil's Lake the last couple of weeks, and he's having fun turning some wrenches. So
Yeah.
we appreciate his help too.
We got Kaylee says wing sprints have always been my favorite, only because the wingless wrecks look so much more wicked.
Yeah.
After this River City's Outlaw show last week, it's
Well,
been
you have to prep a track different for a wingless sprint.
it's been decided Kenneth can drive a late model. I'm not sure I ever attend another Outlaw show. It gives me too much anxiety seeing how fast they go. That was a very, very fast racetrack last week.
Oh,
It was
remember.
too fast.
Unbelievable.
Well, we stayed home, but we watched it, and it was almost too fast.
It was fast. Last week's it was fast.
Yeah. Doogie Hauser, good to see Nick back racing. Brings back some of the good feelings from years ago. Nick, I don't know. You know that win is coming. That first one's coming in a wingless.
Yeah.
Are you going to be the guys, your pit and your team, are they going to be there till the sun comes up, having a party afterwards?
I don't know. I think so. If Nick Bowman, Nick and Shay, they're probably the two crazy ones on the team. But just like everybody, you know, they're all there, they're all jacked up, and then I go, hey, we should be on the radio together, and then they kind of both turtled up. You know, they didn't want to be out here. But
Yeah, it's funny how everybody talks until you get them in here.
Yeah, but
turtle up.
Yeah, if Shay and Nick are both racing, we're always at Devil's Lake afterwards, and they'll go in the bar and make sure we have a couple drinks there. But no, you know what? They've been really supportive and really good too, and we're just gonna kind of keep rocking and rolling until we get some wins ticked off, and then we'll kind of decide what we want to do. But we're definitely, all of our focus is right there, and I think we're getting some speed. We're getting quicker and quicker, and we keep learning. I keep watching a lot of game film, and I'm taking feedback and criticism. So I think we can get her done.
Are you a meticulous note taker? Do you have notebooks full of notes
He's
from
in the
every
car
night?
business. That is a definite given.
Yeah, absolutely. My attention to detail has certainly gotten a lot higher than it used to be. But yeah, we have a legit set of sheets and everything that's done. You know, it's funny, if my brother was sitting here right now, he would say that. He'd go, Jesus, man, leave it alone, when he was making adjustments on the car.
Yep.
Every time he touched
So
it,
do
I
you
go,
have
did you write it down?
like
Did you write it down?
are you establishing like a notebook?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, I mean,
we have literally a page that says the date, what track we're at, what we did for hot laps, heat feature, blah, blah, blah.
Now, do you also write down, I'm not sure what you guys do, but I mean, like temp, humidity, wind, all of that kind of stuff,
Everything.
barometer, all that crap.
Yeah, we used to do after that because that affected the fuel on the 410 cars a heck of a lot
sure.
more
Oh, yeah.
than on these
I
wingless
never
cars.
knew
but-
that.
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
Yep.
That's why you'll see a lot of these guys, they have like a little, they call it a weather station, but it's kind of like sitting on the tire or on the hood. It's kind of a little mini computer looking thing. That's what tells them all that stuff, and then they change what pill they want in the car or whatever.
Yeah, that's where the
That's
word
really
pill.
interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
People
To
are
make
like,
it
what do you
leaner.
mean
Not just
pill?
it's not just your draw, apparently.
Yes.
No,
correct.
no. Oh, no.
Correct.
T. Young says, I have hair.
Yeah, he's got lots of hair.
We know, T.
Yeah.
We're well
Yeah,
aware.
and-
We're well aware of Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, and I ran into him last week. I don't remember where I was at, but that's too bad. He wanted to get back into it again, and now I think he's going to step away, probably for good, the way it sounds to me. Ryan Corbett also watching.
I have a tough time believing that one.
You know what he told me? Okay, well, you know, he had the Widowmaker. You know, he had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And he got all that done. And he said, but he goes, I don't know if it's the cars or me, but it sounded like he just didn't know if he could really keep up to it anymore.
Well, if he had the
maybe-
Widowmaker and just kind of, knowing what Shorty's been through, it might be.
Yeah,
But-
he said he tried, and he gave it.
But there's no quit in T.
No, I know.
There's
I
no
know.
quit in T.
Yeah.
Even if it's just antagonizing the officials, there's no quit in T.
Not T. I was thinking about the wrong guy. T didn't have a heart attack, did he?
No.
No.
Not that I know that he kind of had some. He had some. He said he mentioned something that he had something going on. I think Shorty had the Widowmaker. But
Who's the young that got back into it and into the wingless, and now he's not?
That'd be T.
Okay.
But T still, I mean, he raced
He's
last.
well, he
Does T
hasn't
live in
raced
Devil's
in
Lake
like
or
a
Grand
month.
Forks?
Well, T lives in Devil's Lake. Yeah.
Yeah. See, now I'm thinking of Steven's dad.
Oh, Kim.
Oh, Kim
Kim
Young.
Young.
That's who you're
Jesus.
thinking of.
Oh,
Can't
is
believe I got
that-
T
is-
Young and
is
Kim Young
that
mixed
why
up.
all the Kim stuff is for sale?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kim's all done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Said he tried to get back into it. T Young, when he was in here, he was a hoot.
Yeah,
Freaking hoot.
T's a great dude.
I still haven't seen T on a political ballot like he claimed.
I know. And
T.
we actually had he had told us last year if we gave him a big GFBS sticker, he'd put it on the wing of his kid's sprint car. Well, then I don't know if he blew up or whatever, but he didn't run anymore for the rest of the year. So we had this sticker sitting there. Then we came up with the brilliant idea of let's put it on the water truck at the racetrack. So we had to make another one. Now we've got him on the water truck here at River City Speedway on
Awesome.
both sides. So that worked out really good for all of us. Billy Schletter, hello, everyone. Who all helps you on the car?
So it's funny. One of my guys, they're texting me. Literally, I'm looking at my phone. So they're listening right now. But Shay wanted me to give Heather a little shout out for the best ribeye in North Dakota at the Devil's Lake
yeah.
Speedway there. So
Heck
and it is.
yeah.
It's not just a sign out front. We've had those and they're very good. So if you're going to be there, you got to give that a shot.
They're hand cut.
Oh.
They're
We
really
cut
good.
them there. We cut them in house.
Yeah.
They are not prepackaged and frozen. They are fresh ribeyes and they are hand cut.
I haven't
Stop.
eaten in 2 days.
I was like, it's about lunchtime. You better stop. So Shay and his business partner JB, they run First Class Mortgage in town, and
Yep.
and they're supporters of the race car as well too. But Shay works on the car. And
You know, it's funny. I hate to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I ran into Shay. I don't remember where it was here not long ago. And he was the guy that was the money guy when I bought my house 17 years ago.
Wow.
And I said, I don't know if you remember me or not. And he goes, oh, yeah, your wife still worked for here and here. And boy, that was like, what, 17 years ago? And it's like, Holy crap, dude.
Yeah.
He must not have lived through the 80s. But anyway, there you go. It was good to see him.
He's got a great memory. Him, another buddy of mine, Nick Bowman. Nick is he's worked for Robertson for a long time, but huge sprint car fan. Nick Bowman is, and Troy Thompson's one of my best buddies. He works for the North Dakota Mill. He's a really good hand on the car. Of course, my brother's there quite often as well too now, and every once in a while we'll get a hand from somebody else. But no, those are kind of like my 4 main guys that help out, and then obviously a lot of sponsor help. Those guys have been huge too. Mac Construction. Mac's got a charity golf benefit
Tomorrow.
going on. No, it's actually
Oh,
today.
that's today.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. The post was, okay, yep.
Yeah, them First Class Mortgage, excuse me. Hunter Engineering works with us in at the main store there. Sean Horn's, of course, been with us. Then a whole lot of friends and family that jumped back on board and helped out. So it's been awesome.
Now, you took a break. How many years? 13 years.
Yep.
You're
2010
back.
till now. Yep.
Okay, so now you're back. Right now, any plans for the future? I mean, you want to just ride it out and see what happens?
I think so. Like, you know, it's been good. I think we'll end up with 14 shows this year. The great thing about this series, too, is there's no points. So there's not that stress of, oh, my gosh, we have to go, we have to this, we have to that. My kids still love the lake. Like, there's no doubt about that. We built a schedule this year around being able to race one weekend, then go to the lake, then race one weekend, then go to the lake. And we were able to make all but one show in Devil's Lake, I think. And
we have a lake in Devil's Lake.
yeah, how about that? We're actually at Maple Lake.
Okay.
Oh, we're gonna have to sell that place.
sorry, yeah.
You know, there's a lot for sale right next to us. We could call it. You know, we've already joked that it's Racer Row because Steve Anderson's next door.
Oh,
there you
Steve
go.
is okay.
Yeah, he's out there, yeah.
Yep. So we got the other lot. We could just have Racer Row.
Yeah, Steve's invited us to come out there because I'm dying to bring my boat out there. I've never walleye fished on Devil's Lake.
What?
I have from the bank. Back in the day, and we just pulled up on a road. We fished right from the side of the car off the ditch, and we limited out in like an hour of walleyes. But I've never brought. I'm a Minnesota guy.
So Fuller came out to Steve's one day, and the weather was just shit. And they were probably like 30 feet from the shore, and there's a little, I don't know, it's a trough. I don't know what you would call it. And we've just got a little channel. There we go. We got a little channel. And they were just kind of fishing that channel. And within 5 minutes of them being out there, boom. And then the weather went to shit.
And then the weather went to crap.
Yep. But, we kind of live we don't live, soon to live, maybe 5 years from now. We're going to just be right there where any day we can just go and cast.
Awesome.
It's going to be great.
Amanda Jo Enright, great show today. Kaylee Elizabeth, Stevie built that place all by himself. Place looks great from what Facebook shows. Yeah, I ran into him the other day.
Yeah, no, I've obviously I've been there since he dug the foundation to pour the concrete. I've seen watched the entire process, and Steve did a great job. It's just him. It's just a nice little getaway for him. So
I'm looking at my notes, realized I didn't write anything down for the end of the show, so I might be asking Paul, the producer, some questions when we're getting out of here. But
so I have a question for Nick.
Okay.
Do you have any racing superstitions?
Good question.
Boy, that is a good question. So, yes, I will say there is some superstitions. So it's like I have to make sure that and I don't even know if it's superstitions or if it's like micromanaging obsessive compulsive things or something, but every bolt's got to be torqued on the car before the car will hit the track. And by torqued, it just goes to 30 foot-pounds. And make sure that my torque wrench clicks every single time. I handed that over to Troy, one of our guys, and I let him do it. I literally watched him on every single. I'm sure he was quite annoyed at that, but he did that. And then I measure the spacing on my rear tires like 400 times. When I'm pulling onto the racetrack, we have like a quick release hub that the steering wheel comes off, and I pull up on that thing, I'll bet you 12 times. Because I have a fear that the freaking thing's going to fly off one time when I'm going down the straightaway.
That's legitly happened to Nolan.
I've seen it happen more than once.
Yeah, so Nolan bought his current late model from Steve Anderson. Goes out and races it. Puts it all together and goes and races it. He's leading by a lot in the heat race. Steering wheel pops off.
Oh, no.
And I think he bounced off Dustin Strand and Joey Peterson. I don't remember exactly who, but he's like... So then he had to go to the parts trailer and buy a new spline and the whole 9 yards, And he felt just like an asshole, they probably think I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I actually know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just kind of didn't have a steering wheel. So then he's trying to shove it back on, and trying to hold it down and steer.
Yeah, so you've heard some of those horror stories, about some of that stuff, and it's like, oh man, what a helpless feeling for your steering
Oh
wheel
gosh,
to
I
come off.
know. I couldn't imagine.
So yeah, it's like I'm just like paranoid, making sure that thing's locked on there. So there's a few of those things as far as superstitions go. But other than that, if you ask, some of the Renegade guys, they would probably say something like, "Yep, Nick, making sure that every square inch of that thing is like soap and watered off, perfectly clean." So maybe
Yeah.
there's some of that
See,
too.
and
I
in
guess,
our
but-
household, washing the car's bad luck.
really.
Yep.
Wow. Hey, somebody said, it'd be Dusty Lawson says Nick is the odds-on favorite for Nationals Rookie of the Year.
Oh,
How do you feel about that being in the same, your name being in the same sentence there?
That would be really cool. That's a goal too, and that's actually the Solblick family put up the Rookie of the Year deal, and I have some goals for this upcoming weekend. Obviously we want to make the big show. That's really exciting, and then if I could get Rookie of the Year, that would be really wonderful too. So we do have a couple goals for this weekend, and then main goal is of course to have some fun. But
Yeah.
if we could pick off a couple of those, that'd be really cool.
Is this something you'd want to see any of your kids do when they grow up?
Yeah, obviously Hud, he's just going to be a part of the team in his own way, and we'll keep him
Sure.
involved. But Camden Roy, our middle boy, who's going to be 5, I want to maybe try to get him in a go-kart or something. And Austin Pierce's son, they got a go-kart too for him. He hasn't raced it yet, but they have the go-kart. So there's a few of us, I think, that might not team up, but like share a trailer or something and see if our kids get into it. But if he wants to do that, or if he wants to be a ninja warrior, I'll just support him. on
Yeah,
whatever he wants to
I was
do,
going to say between
whatever he wants to do.
between you and Austin, and I mean, we could throw in Dobmeyer across the street from
Right,
Austin. There, you
right.
got a whole team right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, definitely. If someone needs something, we'll definitely have them covered. But whatever he wants to do, it's funny. I always say like, well, all the other kids, but probably not Hud. Like Hudson sits in the car all the time. At the racetrack, he's in the car. It's like he's the one that's showing the most interest in.
If he
Not
wants-
even
if
giving
he
the poor
wants to
guy a
do it,
chance.
let him
but
do it.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
like,
perfectly capable of doing it. He's just got an extra chromosome.
yeah, that's right. That's
There.
right.
He can do whatever he wants in life.
Sure. Brandon says, I think Nick's going to get the win this weekend. Chris Lewis, it's amazing to meet the guys out there who are
just
hard-running
jinxed him.
family guys. Yeah, that juju thing, I don't know if you've heard about this, but we had a string going here. You come on our show, you win the next race.
Oh my
It
gosh, that'd be
happened
great.
a lot. So we had Dobmeyer on last week thinking it was going to happen.
Oh, no, don't even say that.
The juju
Run.
took a crap right there.
yeah.
But
Oh,
we've got guys. Brad Sang wanted to be on the show for the rest of the year. Jory Berg, same thing. Every time they've been on the show, they win
Jory
the next
Berg
race.
just wants to go to the
Awesome.
dome right now.
Yeah, he's it's fun.
I hope he has another car on order because I've seen races
Yeah.
at the dome. There's nothing usually left of the cars by the time they're done.
Right. Chris Lewis, see you in Forks tomorrow night. You see you doing this for quite a while, or just play it by ear and see what happens?
Yeah, I don't really know how to answer that. I definitely want to do it for quite a while. We've had some help, like sponsorship-wise and stuff, right? So financially, it hasn't been too big of a deal. It's been a lot of fun. It keeps me busy in the wintertime, tinkering on some things, and
Spending $12,000 on a car is a hell of a lot better than spending 40, 50,000,
Yeah.
60,000, 70,000, 100,000.
we used to spend between 8 and 10 just freshening up a 410 engine
Yeah.
in the winter. So
And the last I heard, it's like $15,000 just to freshen it. And it's like
Yeah.
every 15 races. I was like, ooh.
yeah, that's part of it's kind of brutal. But you mentioned Chris Lewis. Chris is a hard runner too. He's with the Northern Renegade boys, and he's got the Joker car. There's the picture of Joker on
yep.
it. Good family dude too. He sent me a really nice Facebook message here a couple weeks ago after the Midco put that story together on my family, and it was really, really nice to see that side of Chris too.
Now, I was talking to him. You were talking motors. The motors you guys are running, they're pretty stout, aren't they?
They are. So they're like what I have in my race car is actually a 5.3. So it's like out of an old Tahoe or out of an old Silverado. But then there's some different things you can do. The rules allow you to do some different things with the camshaft, and there's some different things that we can do.
Make
I got
them a little bit
camshaft.
more durable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
know?
and obviously not breaking any rules whatsoever. I've got zero ambition or zero desire to do any of that. But it's got a little 2-barrel carb on it, but those things rip
Yeah.
pretty good. There's not a whole lot of power there, but they do all right.
I thought I had heard this.
Can you
and
imagine them with a 4-barrel?
That's
Oh,
what
man,
Paul
that'd be
Soblik and I were
crazy.
talking about. That we're like, Jesus, let's
Yep.
put a 4-barrel on and see what happens.
I'm like shunned in Wissota because I think we should go to the 5.4.
Yeah.
Or the 5.3.
Okay.
Not a 5.4. 5.4 is a Ford. Never mind. 5.3. And we can totally make them fuel injected. And I already have like the system to check it. We don't even have to tear motors down. We can just plug it into the computer.
Sure.
We're like, well, this is what your tune's supposed to be. That's not it.
Right.
Peace out. Bye. But I think just, when I think of affordability, I mean, what? I
Right.
can go to the damn junkyard and buy one for like $500, $600, $700,
Yeah,
and I
and-
do just a couple things like change out the
Yeah.
trunnions, change out the injectors to like the E85 injectors.
Yeah.
I mean, you're into a motor for like $1,200.
Yeah, and
That beats the hell out of a $10,000-$15,000 motor.
oh yeah, and look at the Outlaw Sprints. You're talking $60,000+.
Crazy.
Now I don't know if I was dreaming or if somebody actually told me this, but it seems to me somebody was saying that they had ran their 5.3 for 2 seasons and sent it off to get freshened or something like that, freshened up, and the engine builder basically sent it back and said doesn't need anything.
Yeah,
I've
doesn't
heard
need
I've
anything.
heard this too,
heard
and
it.
I cannot remember who
I
it was.
can't remember who it was either.
I don't know if it was Corey Palm or something too.
Well, no,
he
because
does-
Corey,
he does
he's
his own
the one
engines.
building them.
Yeah.
Was it Dusty? No, because Dusty just finally had one that went.
I remember Corey told me he's on like his 90th show or something crazy on his
Wonder if
engine.
it
Yeah, and
wasn't
his
him.
finally went. Yeah.
And he said maybe it was at the end of last year. He flipped his engine upside down and took the pan off, and he looked at it and he was like, "Yeah, this still looks awesome." Put the pan back on and said, "I'm not putting anything into this deal," and rocked and rolled. So I'm thinking if I race 12, 15 times a year, and I can maybe get 90 nights on my engine, it's like, geez, I can race for 5-6 years.
Yeah,
or whatever.
kids will be graduated.
Yeah, we're rock and roll, and who knows what everything. But I'd like to build a spare. So you
Sure.
got one if something happens on a weekend, because anything can happen. We're racing, but
Right.
It sure beats the heck out of saying, hey, every 15 nights we got to yank this thing, we got to send it away. Otherwise, if we wreck it, it'll
Yeah,
be
because
big.
there's not a lot of people in this general area that work on sprint car motors.
Right.
Are you excited about running here tomorrow night?
Stoked. Yeah, I wish, selfishly, I wish that we could run in Forks more than 5 times a year. I want to race as many times in Forks and as Devil's
Sure.
Lake as I
Well,
absolutely
yeah,
can.
it's
They're close to home. And
Logistically, it's a lot easier.
yeah, and to me, it's like my 2 favorite tracks. Like I love it, and I want to be here as often as we can. Minot, I loved racing in Minot too, and I'd love to get out to Underwood and support Miles on the western side of the state. It's just challenging with my life, my family, you name it. Again, selfishly, it's what's best for me, which isn't the easiest thing to say, but I love River City
Right.
Speedway. I love the Devil's Lake tight bull ring style tracks.
Yeah, and Underwood's very much like that.
I'm hearing that, yeah, and I'm hearing Underwood holds some moisture too, so it's bad fast.
It does.
Yeah,
Corey Palm just said I got 110 nights on mine.
110 nights.
110
nights.
nights of racing on the same motor. That is crazy. I did want to mention, say hi to William Dick, Sean Enright, Jason Berg, all watching. How are your folks? Terry Blacklance wants to know. They did a lot for racing.
Yeah, awesome. So my mom and great. They're awesome grandparents. Both my mom and dad, they're winding down as far as their work life goes. I think they're both going to be retired in less than 2 years, year and a half, something like that.
Sure.
They're building a new house in Thompson, right on the north end of town. They're actually, I think, Garen just broke ground Monday or something.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening there, but it's really cool. I was telling you before the show, my dad. As soon as he found out I was racing, he was like texting me every day something, what's going on? What's this? Did you think about shocks? What about this? Blah, 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 blah. And then I was giving him a hard time because the first night of the year, went to Devil's Lake to race. Guess who I didn't hear from all day?
Yeah.
My dad.
Sure.
Yeah, and my dad told me last week or 2 weeks ago when we were in Devil's Lake, or maybe it was the night before, that doesn't really matter. But he said, your mom's really happy that you're racing again. And it made me feel really good to hear
Sure.
that.
I learned something about Nick's mom. So she used to be like the lap counter
Oh, yeah.
for
Yep.
NOSA. And that was back when you had to hand count.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And you've seen me hand count, and I hate it.
She's a
If
wizard
I
on the
have to-
10 key.
Yeah, and she would bring in this calculator, and she would just.
Yeah. Not
and
even
I'm
looking.
going, that is genius.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't any of us ever think of that?
She was a wizard on a 10 key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more question for you before we wrap it up here. This is from Paul Erickson. Okay, a couple questions. Paul Erickson. So, Nick, since you have the sprint car frame and the 410 at home, any chance we can see you at River City Speedway for the Outlaws or any other show?
You know what's really cool about that? That's very flattering, the question is, too. And I was nothing special in a 410, right? We were competitive and stuff, but definitely nothing special. And it's interesting that question's asked. Nick Ranton, too. Nick was
I know they get it all the time.
Yeah,
Same with the Mac boys.
Yeah, and Nick was really pivotal in helping me out, too. He sold me a bunch of their stuff that they were selling earlier this spring. And Nick said a few times, if you want to go racing with the 410 again, I'll supply the wings. So it's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's almost like people are making it too easy to do something.
Sure,
but
sure.
So we got the wing show in Devil's Lake once a year, too.
And I have an incredibly addictive personality, and I just don't want to do that to my family and stuff. So I think the reality is if I put a 410 in the car and put wings on it, like we'd be all in again. And I just don't want to do that.
Right.
So, Paul, I appreciate the question. I think just for now, for the sake of everything, we'll just keep doing the wingless deal.
So I had an inkling that something was up with Nick last fall. Because we stopped at East Grand Forks, the burger. No, is it burger place? Yeah, we ate burgers.
Sure, it was an east side.
Yep.
Anyway,
so we're sitting there. We were having lunch or whatever, and there's this guy sitting on the other end of Nolan. We're sitting at the bar, and I was like, God, he looks really familiar. Who the hell is that? And he's looking at us, and we're kind of, who the fuck is this? And finally he goes, hey, aren't you guys the people that run Devil's Lake? Yeah. Who are you? And it was Nick Ratton. And he goes, yeah, I just sold all my stuff. And then he goes, yeah.
Spud Jr. maybe?
Yeah.
There you go.
And
yeah,
he goes,
that makes sense.
He goes, yeah, I'm getting Nick Shirek some parts here.
Okay. Now all the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, and, and I just was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But, we hear this shit all the time, like so-and-so bought this. And I'm just like, well, until I see their ass on a racetrack, I don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Brendan Groberst, are you going to be able to convince Chris to get back in a car?
I think, the reality is, it's funny. If you ask Chris that, he would actually probably say he doesn't have any desire to get back into a car either. And
Sure.
My brother's a wonderful father, too. They just had their 4th kid not long ago. And he has an addictive personality, much like a lot of us do. And I think he's afraid if he sat in it and did something that he'd be all into and just doesn't want to do that. But I'm enjoying Chris. The table's turned a little bit. He's kind of working on my car at the track now versus me working on his.
Sure.
And we talk about things coming around full circle. I'm kind of seeing that, too. And Chris and I drifted apart a little bit, because we didn't have much to keep us both in contact.
Right,
We're both really busy people.
Well, you're both family men now.
Yeah, and now that we're racing and Chris is coming to the track a little bit, it's kind of cool because we've kind of rekindled a good friendship there as well too, which has been a lot of fun because we've always had racing in common.
Right.
I
want to thank both of you guys. Heather, thank you for making the trip. I miss working at Devil's Lake. I only got to go there once this year, and I really was hoping for a couple of more shows there because Lori always comes with me, and we have so much fun.
Catfishing.
Yeah, there's a couple of weekends. I have sponsors too that I got to take care of, so we had to do that. But Nick Shirek, the driver of the number 5 double down sprint car, the wingless sprint car, you're going to be here tomorrow night. And then you'll be at Devil's Lake for the weekend.
Yes,
we
sir.
wish you luck.
Thank you
for coming on. And when you get that win, we'll get you back, all right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Again, our show brought to you by Rumors Sports Bar and Casino. BT, Bill Tyrell, and Rumors been with us on Dirty Thursday since day one. I love the place. The Twins are off tonight, but you can go watch the Twins tomorrow. You can watch UND football this weekend, too. Wall-to-wall TVs. While you're there, get some good grub. They have got incredible lunches. They got great dinner specials. Stop in, all right? And then you can have one of those ginormous, world-famous beer tower beers. Rumors Sports Bar and Casino. All right, here's the part I didn't write down, but coming up yet today, big screens of TV streams will be coming your way at 1 o'clock. Of course, tonight, the best local sports show you're going to find anywhere, and it's at 6:30. It's called the Forks Sports Highway. Bill and Monty and that whole crew do an incredible job. And then at 9 o'clock tonight, it's the Brew Brothers Show. Thank you all for watching. We love Dirty Thursday. I'll be back tomorrow morning. You know what? No matter what you do, make sure you like, share, tag, and follow us. Hit that notification bell on your smartphone. That way it dings every time the Dirty Thursday show comes on. Grand Forks are awesome. The Grand Cities are great. Grand Forks' best source is giving them an identity again.